Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. Today's a very special show, and today's Old Timers Day, and I'm joined by three of the cornerstones of East Brunswick athletics, Mr. John Emery. John was a basketball coach and a football coach. Our first basketball coach started in 1961, I believe. Retired in 76, 77 season.
Yeah.
Next to him is Mr. Don Wieder, our first gymnastics coach, our only gymnastics coach, and you started in 64 as a coach.
Yes.
And Don, you also were a trainer and assistant football coach.
That's correct.
Did you sweep floors too?
He fixed equipment.
Right. And next to him is Mr. William Dudley Tighe, and as we all know, the track is named after him. Our first track coach, our first JV basketball coach. Did you coach anything else, Dudley?
That was it.
That was it. Okay. First thing we want to know for the audience out there is how you guys ended up at East Brunswick. We got Pennsylvania guys, we got Millburn, New Jersey guys. Mr. Emery, why don't we start with you? How did you end up in East Brunswick?
Okay. I just wanted to remark that Dud was a co-coach. We coached together all those years that I was there. Came down from Pennsylvania to Rutgers, and after the Air Force, I spent a year teaching U.S. history at Freehold Regional. And I was looking for physical education. That was another of my subjects which I could teach. So Jay Doyle happened to be the athletic supervisor at the time, and we had been friends at Rutgers. And since that relationship, because of that relationship, he invited me up, and I was fortunate enough to be hired.
So you, besides Jay, you were the first phys ed person at the high school?
I was with Bob Odenheimer, his wife Gwen, and Celeste Hunter were the women teachers at that time. We were teaching separately, boys one side, girls the other side. And Dudley, I believe, he was teaching elementary at the time,
yeah.
And he came up to high school the next year, so
And
we were
you
together.
got here, and what year was that, Mr. Emery?
That was 58.
58.
58.
September 58.
1958.
Now, 1964, Mr. Weeder, that's when you came?
I came in
How'd you end up?
63. And Jay Doyle came to East Stroudsburg. That's where I went to school. And he was looking for a physical education teacher who could coach gymnastics. So we got recruited there.
And you were a gymnast at...
I was a gymnast at East Stroudsburg.
And then you came to East Brunswick as a gymnastics coach, and 257 wins, 33 losses, 9 undefeated seasons, 20 Division I scholarships, I believe, of your athletes, and 16 state championships.
That's correct.
And that's pretty remarkable in those short years. Wow. What was the secret to that success?
Well, really, I started teaching in the elementary school for 6 years. And in that elementary school, I started a tumbling club. And out of that elementary school came, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 state champions.
What elementary school was that?
Memorial Elementary School.
Memorial.
Yes.
Wow. The brand now. It looks just like the new one now, right?
Oh, almost.
Almost. And as we said before, now we got Mr. Tighe. Mr. Tighe came from Millburn.
From Millburn, right.
I think there's a relationship with
Right,
Rutgers.
we were in the same fraternity, John and I, and Jay Doyle was our fraternity brother also, and he was, as John said, the supervisor of physical education, and we got hired.
So they were looking for a track coach?
Right, track, assistant basketball.
And you did basketball and track at Rutgers. As a matter of fact, I still think you're in the record book
For
at
basketball,
Rutgers.
yeah, for
Rebounds.
rebounding, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Emery, you were the head basketball coach for a lot of years. You had over 170 wins and the whole bit, and you also coached football for...
Well, I like to say 35 years. I think it might be 34, but 35 sounds better. So
tell
I
the
stick
audience
with that.
about the only game you ever missed when you were coaching.
Well, pardon me?
When you were coaching
Yes,
football.
okay. I was assistant football coach. I was offensive coordinator. George Tardif was the head coach at the time. And my daughter was going to get married simultaneously.
Well, she didn't check with you first?
Well, we made, right. I mean, she scheduled the wedding so that it was beyond the regular season, but we made the playoffs. And so we happened to be scheduled, I think it was a Raritan we were going to play in the playoffs. And I had to break the news to my wife and say, I can't make the wedding because I've got to go to the game. She said, when do you want the divorce? And so I changed my mind. And Unfortunately, we lost. I listened to the game as much as I could,
Right. That was prior to all technology and stuff, but I remember you were getting phone calls because I was on the staff then, as a matter of fact. And that was like the second or third year of the playoffs that they started in New Jersey.
Yeah, it was a big thing, playoffs. That's why I suggested it.
Now, Mr. Wieder, gymnastics in 64, 65, I just can't believe it was a very popular sport. What made Jay Doyle, who our stadium's named after, why did he think gymnastics would be so popular? And tell us about that first year.
Well, I don't know if he thought it would be popular, but he thought it was a good sport to bring into the program because a lot of schools in New Jersey had gymnastic teams. And when we first started, we came there and we had a club the first year. And then after that, we started competing. And when we competed on the floor exercise, we taped out an area 40 by 40, and the boys tumbled on the floor,
On the basketball floor.
On the basketball floor, yeah.
In bare feet.
In bare feet.
Bare feet.
And then from there, then you got your equipment. You went into the sub gym.
Yep.
But did you practice? Didn't it used to be a winter sport? Tell us about that.
Yeah,
When
it used
did
to
that
be a
switch?
winter sport until about '74, I think, and then it turned into the fall.
How did you share the gym with these two basketball guys?
Oh, it was difficult, but we did it.
Right.
Yeah, we also had the cheerleaders and other sports because we didn't have a sub gym or the new basement gym at that time.
Right.
We just had that one gym.
Their biggest complaint was the chalk on the floor, making the floor slippery.
That's right. That's right. You didn't have meets on those. You just practiced on that floor, or did you have a meet?
No, we had meets on that
You had
floor.
meets on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Boy, oh boy.
Way back.
I hope you had the trainer there.
The worst thing was a front somersault. If you came in short and you landed on your heels, you got the worst heel bruise you ever saw.
Yeah. And I've seen pictures. You used to pack them in at the
Oh,
gymnastics.
I was unbelievable how many.
Right.
Well, we were
came.
good.
Yeah, we were very
That
good.
always increases your fan base.
All right. Now, Dudley, Mr. Tighe, tell us about track, how you got it started, and then work into it the old cinder track.
Well, when I first got there was no track. I got some plans from some people up in Warnock Park and got the plans and gave them to the engineers, and they designed the track with the drainage and all this other stuff, and it was amazing. And the trucks coming in with the cinders and then the clay on top, and anyway, our second year we were started running on the track.
And how many assistants did you have that first year?
One.
One assistant?
One. Tony Navickas.
So you and him did all the events?
Everything. We were, learning. We were learning.
Tell me about how many kids you think you had that first year out.
35, 40
Yeah,
kids.
that's good.
Yeah.
And you also had 9 undefeated seasons, 238 wins, 52 losses. That's pretty
Right.
impressive.
One losing season.
One losing
One
season?
losing season. I think it was in 66.
All right. The other team probably cheated or something.
No, well,
So before you tell me about the cinder track. I often wondered, how'd they line it and how did it keep solid? And tell me how that all worked out.
okay. Lining was a chore. I had this bar that went across with wheels.
And
I
you made it?
No, it was bought. And I would drag it around, and it had little buckets with lime in it. And the wheels would go up against the curb, and you just pull it around, and that would put the lines put the lines down. And I had a friend who was a welder, and he made a roller, like a 5-foot wide roller. He knew somebody that had an iron pipe, and we welded things on the ends with, and they would roll the track with that. But it was.
And that's how you flattened it out?
Yeah, that's how they made it solid. Yeah.
And just like our track now, if it rained, you wouldn't be able to get on.
No.
Tell me how long it would take if a downpour to get on that field.
A good day. The drainage was pretty good because of the way they constructed it.
Compare that track to our current track. What do you think?
Night and day.
Night and day?
Night and day.
Remembering that, those first years, what did you have in the high jump pits for the kids to land on?
All right.
Sawdust.
Sawdust, right.
Sawdust.
Because, well, now they have these porta pits. For anybody that's not familiar, I mean, you could jump from 50 feet and you'd be safe. But we used to take our physical education classes up and teach them how to high jump.
Yeah,
well, after the second broken wrist, the principal said, enough.
No more high jumping. And it was funny. It was only seventh graders that, because of the way that their development with the bones, that they broke. Where the eighth graders, ninth graders wasn't a problem.
Tell us about that first season. Give me your memory of that first season of basketball. Let's go with basketball, you two guys. Who'd you open up with? Where was it? Where did you play your games?
Well, okay, I have a memory. I think we were coaching ninth graders at the time.
You were the head coach, and Mr. Tighe was the
Right.
JV coach.
Well, I say we because, like I pointed out, Dud and I mean, we coached the two teams, the varsity and JV team together because we had the one gym and everything. And, I mean, we would break down sometimes, and he'd work at one end, I'd work at the other. But when we worked full court, we were both coaching together. But so we have the ninth grade team, and our first game was against St. Peter's ninth grade team. We played in the basement of the Sacred Heart Gym over in Sedan
So this was
Street.
just ninth grade team.
Ninth grade team, our top team at that time.
Right.
And one of my recollections was Mickey Opaleski. He wore glasses, and so he also had a glass guard, similar to what the girls lacrosse players wear today. So he had difficulty seeing anyway, but we get to the gym and there's 3 lights working out of the
15.
10 or 12, whatever number, and you needed a flashlight to find your way around. It was like, you know, you couldn't see too well. Right. So besides that, they killed us.
Yeah, right. What did we score? 20 points, I think.
So,
and they were
Mr. Tighe, the first year was just ninth grade. Then give me the progression. Then you went JV, varsity, or?
I think we went, JV then varsity, right? Was it JV then varsity?
I think we played some JV. Yeah, it's a little hard to remember, but we moved up. It was intelligent the way that they
I think it was JV sophomores and then varsity junior and senior year.
And Mr. Wieder, the athletic director you mentioned a couple times, was Jay Doyle. Tell the audience about Jay Doyle, and then of course you guys can interject because we all know the stadium's named after him and there's awards named after him, but there's people that don't even know anything about him. Do you have a favorite Jay story?
Jay Doyle was just a very intelligent man and cared about sports so much in East Brunswick, and he wanted every sport to be equal. In fact, we all got paid the same amount, no matter whether you're coach, assistant coach, or head coach. That's the kind of man he was, you know. And he made sure everybody had the same opportunity to do well.
Right.
So he made sure I had everything I needed, and
plus he was a football coach and a wrestling coach. Head football, head wrestling.
Right? First football coach, right?
First football, first wrestling.
You have a favorite Jay Doyle story, Mr. M?
Well, not only was he unique, you know, in that direction about the paying all the coaches the same, and to emphasize that the head football coach and the golf coach and the tennis coach all got paid the same. It happened to be $300 at the time.
It was 600.
Well, it went up.
It went up. It was 600.
Well, he got paid more than you.
Other than track at 600. So, no, the thing about Jay was that as bright as he was, hardworking, and had all these new concerns, he was just a people's person. I mean, he could talk to anybody, and you'd come away with a good impression of him because he just had such a winning personality.
Yeah, great smile. Great smile.
Now, and whoever wants to answer this, have the athletes changed over the years? Are they more dedicated now? I believe they're better now. I think we have better athletes now because of training, weight conditioning, and specialization. Do you see a change in the athletes, Don? You see that in gymnastics. I mean, high school gymnastics, of course, is obsolete now. But do you think the college athletes and the Olympic athletes are better now than the 60s?
Yeah, I think everyone's better because they all start younger, and I did that in my elementary school, and those athletes went on to be state champions and get scholarships,
Right.
And that's what everyone's doing today. They're specializing, and so they're stronger, and they're
skillful,
faster, and more skillful,
Yeah.
and bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Now, did you get your training? I know you were in college, but did you go over to Europe with the Russians and to learn anything about gymnastics then?
Well, I used to go to summer camp every summer and teach at summer camp with other coaches, and as I had my own gymnastic club,
Right.
And in that club I took a team to Sweden, I took another team to England, and so I always constantly talking with other coaches and getting more information.
But you're the man in gymnastics in the state. All those awards, when I go down to the NJSIA, your name and your team's there. So you're well.
Well, realizing that, we've been there since the beginning, so I've seen a lot of teams. But going back to 2 football teams, the 66 team and the 72 team, they were blessed with big, strong, fast kids that, in my opinion, compared to our recent state championship teams, which, did a great job. But the size factor back then, I guess kids were eating more meat and potatoes or whatever. Those were 2 unique teams. But I'm going over a long period of time.
You left out that Pazinko team, that 80.
That was a good team as well. Yeah, you got to be careful when you start naming teams.
Yeah.
Because
Now, Mr. Tighe, times they've gone down, but distances have increased in track over the years. Is it from training, facilities, track, or have they changed?
They have changed. They've improved, and the facilities obviously are much better. I think the athletes are training better, and coaching certainly is a big part of that. But I think summer camps, like Don says, the guys going to summer camp. My best high jumper went to summer camp at Maryland, and he knew the high jump better than I did. I thought I knew, but he was good. He was very good. And he lives in Summit now, and his son.
Is that Jones, Bob Jones?
Bob Jones. His son, Bob jumped 7 feet. His son jumped 7 feet last spring.
where was that, Summit?
Summit.
Yeah, that's right. You were telling me that down at the state meet you were naming your son.
Which is a terrific accomplishment.
Fondest memory or team, anything? I know you don't want to pinpoint a particular team.
I was thinking about that. We had a meet against J.P. Stevens, and they were pretty good. We were pretty good, and we were head to head. And it's time for the mile relay, which would decide the meet. Okay, so one of my kids comes up to me and he says, "Coach, I can't run. My butt hurts." He didn't use butt, but he said, "My butt hurts." I said, "You're going to have to run. I mean, that's it. You're just going to have to run." Well, we went head to head. First leg, they were ahead. Second leg, we're ahead. Third leg, it's even. Fourth leg, we win by about a yard. I'm telling you, it was extremely exciting.
Now, Stevens opened probably in the early 70s, so it was around 70, 71, 72. Did we used to get a crowd at the dual meets? Because I think now dual meets in high school track is just like...
Parents, few girlfriends. That's about it. Yeah. Very low-key track.
Mr. Wieder, fondest memory, fondest team? Now, I remember that team that you had 2 kids from the same school and faces in the crowd in Sports Illustrated. Steve Christensen, and
Jason Cohen.
Yeah, that was a state championship team.
That's
my memory.
That was probably the best team we had. We set the state scoring record in that meet, and that was an outstanding team. 2 great all-arounders. First and second in the all-around.
Right, it's both of them.
Both of them, yeah.
And Steve went to scholarship at UMass.
Steve went to UMass, and Jason Cohen went to Stanford.
And you've had kids go to the Naval Academy?
I had 2 guys go to the Naval Academy, Aiden Antoine and Joe Willis, and Joe Gannon. 3 guys to the Naval Academy. And 1 to the Air Force Academy, Wayne Bell, early.
Tell the audience, in my first couple of years as AD, I remember this happening. You would practice in the sub-gym, but then what would you have to do to compete?
Oh, we had to move all that equipment from the sub-gym into the main gym.
And then at 8:30 when it was over, what did you do?
We had to tear it down and take it all back.
And isn't it interesting that I don't think a kid ever complained about it? It was just part of it, right?
It was just what we had to do.
All right. Mr. Emery, fondest memory basketball, because you've already given us the football.
Keyport, yeah. Back to Keyport. It was probably our first varsity year. And Keyport was heavily favored. The game was down at their place, close game. That was the team of Scup, Doozy, Dobrinsky, Groover, and Pressler. So we either hit a winning shot or they missed one. What was their kid's name? Jackson?
Yeah.
They had
Good kid. They had a good
star named Jackson. But full house, and we had a lot of fans.
Noisy.
I think we were 16-3 that year or something.
So that team's pretty good.
Yeah. So that was very memorable.
Now, we're having a pretty good basketball season this year, too.
They're lucking out.
If they're on the court, where's your money, Coach?
Well, I saw in the paper that they're ranked number 3 in the state, and that's got to be a first for East Brunswick,
Right.
you know. And
First public school in the state.
Oh, really?
Number 1 public school, 3rd overall.
Well, we all know how those Catholic, me being Catholic, I can talk about them. They're fortunate they have a broader base of recruiting.
You're avoiding the issue. Who would win that game?
Which one? Us against?
Yeah, you're the Brinsky team versus both.
This team. This team is good.
This team,
This
I
team
would pick
is
this
good.
team.
They are athletic.
Good shooters. Good
Both
shooters.
doing a great job. They're fun to watch.
Tough
They are.
defense.
Fondest memory of track besides that? Is that it, the meet? How about in the state competition? You've had kids win nationals, right? The javelin kid, Rulo, I believe.
No, he went to the
Nationals.
Golden West, yeah. So did Jones.
Right.
I think when Jones did 7 feet at Highland Park Relays,
Right, we've
that
had
was
some good ones.
that was quite. I said, "There's a trip to the Golden West meet."
Right. So we need you to get group conversation. I get often asked, why were we the Bears, and why green and white? And who's going to take that question? Why are we the Bears?
Do you remember?
No,
Okay, I read.
And who was the
I
principal?
think I remember. Well, I don't.
George Sullivan.
George Sullivan
George
was
Sullivan
the
was
first
the principal.
principal, but Jay Doyle conducted the survey. I think. I mean, or he counted the votes.
With the
Let's put it
kids.
that. Yeah, the student body voted on the school colors and the mascot because we were new and everything. So my recollection was that. Purple and orange were were leading the vote, and the Lancers was the mascot. Well, after Jay Doyle counted the votes, we turned out to be green and white and the Bears, and that was
Is
it.
that a true story?
I seem to remember that.
That's my recollection.
Jay Doyle had a unique way of having things come out his way.
I know a guy in this room that does things that way. How about booster clubs? The booster club evolved from one big booster club that I know you guys were involved in when I first came here, and you used to report to the booster club once a month and give an update on your team. I remember doing something like that. And so tell me about the beginning of the booster club. Does anyone recall that? Anybody?
Yeah, I remember going to one meeting and got chopped up. We weren't winning too much basketball-wise at the time. And
So
my-
that even happened back then?
Oh, yeah, and my wife would never forgive certain
Somebody.
persons who were critical of my coaching ability.
So now the booster club has evolved into each sport just about has their own, and it's pretty impressive. And there's
Used to
one
be
big
all
booster club
inclusive.
because that banquet that you guys have gone to for every year is still in existence, and that started way back with maybe Jay or Charlie King, but it still goes on.
Well, it was a good move because back in the beginning, it was 3 banquets a year, and I mean it was repetitious, especially for coaches going, over and over.
All right, real quick, give me a quick take on the early days of phys ed. You guys were my idols. You all taught phys ed. You used to bust me my first years as teaching. Well, you said I had long
We just
hair.
directed you. We didn't bust you. We were
You said I had
directing you.
long hair or something. Tell me about the difference. The
No,
co-ed.
it wasn't something. It was long hair, longer than
Then
what
you were.
we were.
Well, you guys,
accustomed
your
to.
hair doesn't grow. It's been the same.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's good.
So tell me about phys ed way back then in the 60s. How is it different than now?
Well, it was all boys and all girls.
Right, the classes were separate, sexes
Yeah.
were separate.
Yeah, we did it the way it should be.
Well, what was that, Coach?
Boys in one class and girls in. You should have saw the murder ball games we used to have.
Right.
Can you imagine having girls in there?
I used to
Oh,
have
man.
to officiate gym class or physical education basketball games in the morning because that's how competitive it was. You know, the kids just went after each other. The boys went after each other.
Yeah.
And we used to have gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
But the
And
girls
boxing?
the girls would do this apparatus and the boys would do this apparatus, you know, but it was their own class. It wasn't a mixed class.
And didn't we have boxing and
No,
phys
no
ed?
boxing.
We didn't have
I
boxing.
thought upstairs with
we hit the light
We
bags.
had, right.
We had the light bags and
And
the
the
heavy
speed
bags.
bag.
So we taught the skills on boxing, on hitting the light bag and hitting the heavy bag.
Yeah,
It was
And
more
we did have a
conditioning.
ring up there, but we never used it, right?
That was an
Bob
outside
Odenheimer,
group.
kids.
That was an outside group.
Bob Odenheimer had been a boxer in his youth at one time, as well as a catcher. That's why his fingers look like that. Anyway, kids would challenge him, and so he'd duke it out with them a little bit.
Oh, he used to have slap fights with
Right.
kids, and he would come in the gym after the slap fight, and the kid would come in there. His face was all red, and Bob's face, not a scratch.
He came in smiling.
we used to have bicycling,
Oh, that was
roller skating.
Yeah.
Anything else
bicycling.
unique? Because we're getting near the end. I'm just trying
Archery,
to archery. I remember right.
Bowling.
golf, and bowling.
Okay.
Fencing.
Fencing.
We had
I remember
fencing,
that.
yeah,
You made
yeah.
me teach fencing in the hallway. Thank you, Mr. Emery.
Hey,
So now that we're winding down here, you've retired for a few years now. Let's say, what did you miss most when you retired? Let's start with Mr. Wieder. What did you miss most when you retired from teaching and coaching?
I missed the camaraderie that we had in our office and the fun that we had, and we didn't have any problems at all with our group, and we all did our thing, you know.
You guys have been together since '64,
Yeah.
at least. Dudley, what did you miss the most when you retired?
The camaraderie in the gym, in our office, and the coaches, yeah, and the good kids. You know, you don't miss the kids that are problems, but the dealings with the good athletes that are into it and performing and working, and you teach a kid something as a coach, and you see him make that progression, take that next step up. That's to me is very gratifying.
Mr. Emery?
I had thought about that, coming here, and obviously the same feelings. The coaches and the teachers, because we, over such a long period of time, we developed long and lasting friendships. I personally like that level, the high school level. We have elementary teachers, junior high, so forth, and it's just a great feeling to see high school athletes mature right in front of your eyes over a period of 2 or 3 years.
Well, I had the privilege of working with you guys and watching you each retire, and it was just a thrill. If I had any success, I owe a lot of it to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming in. I know East Brunswick's a better place because of you guys, and you're great role models for everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your very busy day. Are you guys busy?
Oh,
You're
yeah,
busy
we had
days?
a tough day.
Right? And thanks for being a Bear, and thank you for watching, and go Bears.